Hey everybody, this is Sue Craig, your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in Cleveland, Ohio. And today I have a technique for you. Not a full card, but a technique. Here's the background that we're going to be making. We're going to be using regular inks and an embossing folder called Fern and Flora 3D. And I believe this just came back in stock. So the supplies we're going to need for it, this one was just regular white cardstock, but I want to try it with our watercolor paper just to see the difference because this obviously is a little warped. Now I can straighten it easily enough, but I just wanted to experiment a little bit here. So we're going to need a water brush. I fill my water brushes with distilled water. That way there's no mineral deposits in it and it doesn't mold or mildew in the barrel. We're going to use our D blocks. I like the D blocks because they're big enough to hold the ink that we're going to need. And we're going to use 3 greens. The first green I'm opening is Lemon Lime Twist. And what I'm going to do is just push my block into the ink. Now you don't have to use a block. You could push the top into the ink and use it right out of the top. But I'm going to try this way because it's going to get me a nice amount of ink on here. And it should be a little bit quicker and easier to use. So the second ink I have is Granny Apple Green. And the last one is Garden Green. So again, I'm just pushing these into the ink pad and turning them over. We're also going to need some type of tape, so I have a roll of my sticky tape. Let's see, I think that's about it. So here's what we're going to do. Let's scoop this so it's in the frame. I'm going to squeeze some of the water from my water brush. Ooh, it doesn't want to come out. All right. If that fails, then you get your water spritzer and you spritz water on your block. It doesn't matter how the water gets there, just as long as you have water. So I'm going to take, oh, I have some interesting colors on my paper already. So this is not going to be any kind of masterpiece. You're just going to put ink in different places because it's watercolor paper. It'll move around for you. It's not going to absorb right away into the paper, which is really nice. Oh, that's kind of cool, the little dots that it made. So I started with my lightest color, which is the, what is that? The Lemon Lime Twist, I'm sorry. And now I'm going to use the Granny Apple Green. And I'm just going to throw color anywhere. Okay. You can see it really helps to have the water with the paint or the ink. Makes it easier to spread. I think I want to add a little bit more. And you can see here that if this water brush was working, it would be a whole lot easier than spraying. But you gotta do what you gotta do. Okay, so now I'm gonna take my green, garden green, and add some of that, kind of where there is no other color. And yeah, you can go over where there's other colors. Like I said, it's going to look like a hot mess. Not a masterpiece by any means, but That's the fun part of this, is that this is a no stress kind of background to make. You could do several of these at a time and then let them dry. Okay, that's good enough. We'll see what happens. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in my folder, my embossing folder. And I'm going to put it in like I typically would for any other project. And of course, because it's 7 inches long, it's not going to fit in here. So we're just going to close it. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to put some of my tape on the back here so that this won't move. And you'll see why in a minute. Okay, so now the next thing we're going to do is take this to our machine and run it through. I'm sure you heard that. When I ran it through with my number 4 plate and my number 1 plate, which is the big, thick white one. So here's what it looks like. We're going to take this and open it, and I'm just showing you that's what it looks like. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add a dark color to it. I know this is similar to the blackout technique, but this is not the blackout technique. I'm going to take some Secret Sea ink, and I'm just going to go up and down on the side that has the logo on it. So the part that says Stampin' Up is the side that I'm going to put this on. And now I'm going to run this through my machine again. All right, you get an idea of what's going to happen? And let's take a look. Okay, that's the reason I put the tape on here, so that when I opened this to put the ink on, it would not move. All right, and here's what it looks like. I wonder if I could put a little more ink over here, if I could re-ink it again and get a little bit darker image. Let's see. What's the worst that can happen? It won't work. That's all right. It's only paper. All right. Let's close it. Run it through one more time. And there we go. Oh, that looks pretty good. So what you can do then is I'm turning it over this way so I have a hold of the cardstock so it doesn't rip the cardstock. And this will just rinse off in the sink, and you can dry it with a towel, any kind of towel, paper towel, whatever. And then, because this tape is so pushed into the cardstock, I did not even try to take it off. I just left it on the back. So there's your background. And this is such a large background. You can decide what you like. You can cut it in half and use part of it. I think I like it on the watercolor paper. We'll see. It's going to have to dry, but that's the technique of just inking up your paper And then dry embossing it, then inking the front of your folder and inking again. Well, there you go. I hope you like this technique. I hope you give it a try. And thanks for watching.